My boyfriend is hiding all my things and I have no idea why. My boyfriend, who I've been dating for 5 months, moved in with me 3 weeks ago. His apartment got flooded and needed repairs. Since my roommate is currently spending some time abroad, I said he could stay with me for 4 to 6 weeks. By that time the repairs should be finished and he could return to his apartment, so we've been living together for 3 weeks now. And at first, everything was great. Jealousy used to ruin our lives a bit because we often went places separately, probably once a week. But coming back to the same apartment, he kind of stopped being so jealous for no reason. But now a new problem has appeared. It might seem petty, but I'm already at my breaking point. Since he moved in with me, my things started disappearing and then reappearing in the same place a day later. I'm talking about documents, small household items, and food. And it's not like when you lose your keys and then find them somewhere. I specifically check a certain place, see that nothing is there, and the next day the item is there again. For example, I like to take a chocolate bar to work with me, so I usually have a pack of chocolate at home. Soon after he moved in, one morning I discovered that all the chocolate had disappeared. I asked my boyfriend. He said he knew nothing about it. I come home. The chocolate is back in the cupboard? I ask. He says he has no idea. Maybe you just didn't notice it in the morning? We're talking about a large pack of like 12 chocolate bars. How could I not notice? At first, I thought it was some kind of weird joke, but he gets angry when I mention it. This is starting to really piss me off because sometimes these were things belonging to my friends that I was going to return but couldn't find them, or documents that I needed on a certain day. Now, I don't understand what's happening at all. I'm not crazy. He gets very angry when I bring up this topic and says I'm making it all up to create drama. Why would I make this up? I don't understand what's going on at all. Any thoughts? Comments? Author. I knew him for about 2 months. We met at a party at mutual friend's place. I had just gotten out of another relationship and wasn't planning to date anyone, but he showered me with romantic gestures, gifts, letters. None of my exes did anything like this for me, and a month after meeting, we started going on dates. He wanted a relationship very quickly, and at some point I thought, why not? Commenter. I thought you said you met him at a bar and that's why he doesn't like when you go there alone. I mean with a bunch of girlfriends. Author. Yes, it was a friend's birthday. We were celebrating at a bar. Everyone was pretty drunk. Everyone was dancing. I think I was dancing with some guy even before I talked to him. He still often says, I fell in love with you at first sight, but you were dancing with some idiot, so I love you even more. And all that kind of stuff. Author. The jealousy problem isn't that serious. He just doesn't want me to go out somewhere with my girlfriends because most of them aren't in relationships. I think he just has the wrong idea about what girls do at parties. Sometimes we argued about it, but over the last 3 weeks it's gotten much better. Update 1. First of all, huge thanks to everyone for the advice, support, and concern. I got a lot of private messages asking if I was okay. I really appreciate it. Now back to my situation. After I read all your comments and read about gaslighting, I got really scared. Many of you wrote that there are other red flags in our relationship. I started remembering and realized everything that should have alarmed me a long time ago. Our relationship moved too fast from the very beginning. I wasn't planning to date anyone at all, but he showered me with gifts, attention, date ideas, messages, and eventually I gave in. He got angry when I didn't want to immediately say, I love you, when I didn't want to introduce him to my family, when I didn't want to sleep with him without a condom. You don't trust me. And when I refused to book an expensive vacation with him. He was terribly jealous and didn't want me to go anywhere without him, although he himself constantly hung out with friends. He made me cancel plans for him, and then he wouldn't show up himself. He logged into my Facebook account and changed the relationship status to in a relationship the very next day after we started dating, as a surprise, he said. That alarmed me a bit at the time, but I thought he just didn't know how to do surprises. As one commenter noted, all the missing items were somehow connected to me planning to go somewhere or meet with friends or family. A gift for a friend, a key to my parents' house, documents for applying for a semester abroad. We had a huge fight about this because he didn't want me to leave, and so on. After I read about gaslighting, I ordered a hidden camera. Unfortunately, delivery took 4 days, but after the first day I realized I couldn't live with him anymore. I wanted him to move out as soon as possible and without unnecessary drama. I told him that my roommate got an interesting job offer and would be back in a week, so he'd have to move out. He got very angry, but I said I couldn't do anything about it. I also added, on the advice of some of you, that his landlord is obligated to provide him with housing and that he should contact him. The next day, he said he talked to the apartment owner and could return to his place the following weekend. The repairs, he said, finished ahead of schedule. At this point, I already doubt there was any flooding at all, but who knows? That evening, he asked if I wanted to move in with him because we're so good together. And you don't like your roommate anyway? I never said that. I replied that yes. I'd move in with him in June. He was thrilled. While I was waiting for the hidden camera to arrive, one episode happened. A book disappeared that I had ordered for my father on Amazon and was planning to take to him the next day. At least that's what I told my boyfriend. Of course, the book wasn't there in the morning. I decided not to react, and he behaved strangely. He even asked on the way if I had taken the book with me. Why the hell would he even ask that if he's not expecting some reaction from me? I just asked, "What book?" "The one you wanted to take to your father." "I have no idea what you're talking about." That evening, the book, of course, was lying on my desk again, and I again pretended not to notice anything. A couple hours later, he casually came up to the desk and says, "Here it is, that very book I was talking about." I replied, "What book?" And then he was angry all evening. 2 days later, the camera finally arrived. I installed it while he was at the gym and put a letter on the desk that I needed for work. I wasn't at all surprised when after a few hours it disappeared, and the next day appeared again. When I finally was home alone and could watch the recording, I saw what I already knew. He, walking past the desk, took the letter, put it in his gym bag, and then returned it to its place a few hours later. But seeing the evidence, I decided not to confront him. Honestly, I was scared of how he would react, and I had already decided I would break up with him as soon as possible. Besides, the camera didn't show his motive, and he wouldn't explain anything anyway. It really annoyed me that I most likely would never know why he was doing this. On the last evening, before he was supposed to return to his repaired apartment, I said I wanted to watch an old movie called Gaslight. Thanks to everyone who recommended it. Really a great movie. He watched it with me but was quieter than usual, while I kept commenting that the plot was unrealistic and the main character was just crazy. I expected some reaction, but he just sat there, noticeably nervous. On Sunday, he packed his things and returned to his apartment. My brother arranged for a locksmith to change the locks, and as soon as that was done, I sent him a message. I wrote that everything between us was over, that I don't want him to contact me anymore, and that I'm sincerely sorry he hid my things just to make the relationship more interesting. Since then, he's been calling me nonstop, but I don't answer and won't. I know this isn't the most heroic or spectacular ending. I could have confronted him with the recording, but instead just cowardly broke up with him via message. However, I didn't want confrontation and scenes at all. I just wanted to end everything as quickly and calmly as possible. If I learned anything from all this, it's that you shouldn't rush headfirst into relationships. Over the last 7 years, I've been jumping from one long relationship to another, and I think it's time for me to be alone and focus on my studies. For now, I'm going to live with my brother for a couple weeks, and will probably change my phone number. It's a shame I can't explain why he did all this. Maybe it was kleptomania, some kind of joke, or he was just going through my things because something about my behavior annoyed him. I'll most likely never know. In all the messages he sent me, he only writes that he doesn't understand what I'm talking about and that he never took my things. Final update. I'd like to tell you a happy ending, but unfortunately, the breakup didn't go as smoothly as I thought. I didn't answer when my ex called and didn't respond to any of the endless messages, but I still read most of them. And then somewhere after 4 days, his tone suddenly changed. At first it was, "I love and miss you so much. I don't know what you think I did, but I swear I didn't do anything wrong. Whatever anyone told you, it's a lie. Please give me another chance." And then it became, "You'll never be happy. No wonder everyone leaves you. I hate you, and there won't be a second chance no matter how much you want it. For your own good, pray we never meet again." That same week I blocked his number, but I got an uneasy feeling when strange things started happening. Some friends called asking if I was okay. They were somehow sure that I broke up with him to focus on my mental health. Twice I came to work and colleagues were surprised to see me because someone called and told them that I wasn't feeling well and couldn't come. When I asked who it was, they said it was my doctor who called. My ex also wrote to my mom on Facebook. They never met, and he pretended to be a concerned friend asking about my well-being after my last breakdown. This was easy to explain to family, but much harder at work. After 3 weeks of living with my brother, I decided to return to my apartment. And this turned out to be a bad idea. On the second evening, I saw my ex in front of the building and then started seeing him almost every other day. He stood on the other side of the street and just looked at the building. A week later, someone started ringing the doorbell at 3 a.m. This continued for 5 nights in a row. 3 more times I found small pieces of paper with drawn flames in front of the door. It was creepy that he somehow got into the building. I was getting more and more scared to leave the apartment and eventually moved back to my brother and his family's place. My friend with whom I shared the apartment and who is currently abroad took all this very badly. She was furious to learn that I changed the locks without telling her. And she got even angrier when I said I was going to move out because that's not what we agreed on. But I just can't go back there. Although honestly, now I understand I should have involved her more in the process. I asked her parents for permission. The apartment belongs to them for changing the locks. But I never talked to her herself. And I still feel sick at the thought that I even let him live in her apartment. I also went to the police to get a restraining order. I was amazed at how difficult it is to get one. I needed to provide not only proof that he was stalking me, but also evidence that he was threatening my safety. However, after many hours of waiting and thanks to my sister-in-law's patience, I did get the order. There is good news too. I was approved for a semester abroad starting in October, so as not to burden my brother anymore, I'm leaving in August, and maybe we'll travel a bit. I'm already in a Facebook group with all the other exchange students who are also going there next semester, and I don't think I'll be alone. When I return, I'll rent myself a small apartment. Thank you all for opening my eyes after my first post. I really didn't understand what was happening, although I felt something was wrong. You guys saved me from a very abusive relationship, and every day I'm grateful that I was able to get out in time. I'm sure my boyfriend hacked my phone and is spying on me. I'm going through an extremely difficult situation. I think my partner is acting secretively. He may have hacked my phone, is tracking me when I'm not home, gained access to all my online accounts, and is constantly lying. My partner works as an electrical technician, and I'm sure he has enough knowledge to pull all of this off. I feel lost and desperately need advice. How do I understand what's happening, and what steps should I take next? It all started when our family ordered new devices in February. The day after we placed the order, we got a strange call. A man said that one of the 4 phones sent to us wasn't actually new, but refurbished. This seemed odd because he identified himself as a Verizon employee, called our home phone several times, and said he would definitely call back at 5 o'clock to discuss this with my partner, but never called back. On March 12th, Verizon received all our old devices and reset them to factory settings. About 3 weeks later, on April 3rd, I received an email and message that my TikTok account had been hacked. My email address and phone number linked to it were removed. After checking, it turned out this was done from a Samsung Galaxy S22 somewhere in Connecticut. I live in Iowa. This alarmed me because the S22 was exactly what I had recently returned to Verizon. Around the same time in early April, I received a notification about unauthorized access to my eBay account. I don't remember the exact date, but it was around the same time as the TikTok incident. Around the first week of April, I was using my partner's phone and noticed that his WhatsApp was open but required a fingerprint to enter. He usually only uses biometrics for banking apps, so I got curious. On May 1st, I was using his tablet with his permission. We supposedly have nothing to hide from each other. I looked through his Google account activity to see if there was anything related to WhatsApp. There were over a dozen WhatsApp launches recorded, even though he claimed he only used it for work and never at night. I also saw activity related to File Manager, and that he was opening his files and gallery at strange times. Then through his Google activity, I went into Verizon Cloud and found recently deleted photos of his female coworker, as well as some random nude photos. Additionally, I noticed contacts with WhatsApp written at the end of their names. I wrote down about 12 names and numbers of girls and photographed his activity on my phone. When I confronted him with all this, he said yes, he used to chat with girls and receive photos from them, but that was many years ago. Now, according to him, he's not hiding anything. Within a couple of days after I discovered all this on his tablet, strange things started happening with my own phone. All photos except screenshots of his Google activity disappeared. Thousands of pictures. In the following weeks, apps started glitching. The phone had to be constantly restarted. and I also got the feeling that the camera was turning on by itself and possibly taking pictures without my knowledge. Around the same time, I found a broadcast channel on my phone created in my name, even though I didn't create it, and a message in settings that opening some apps requires IT administrator permission. I obviously don't have any administrator. I'm a housewife. By May 6, my phone was already in terrible condition. You just had to look at it. It looked glitchy. Settings, apps, icons. Some apps I couldn't open at all, and others that I definitely deleted somehow appeared again. There were strange files everywhere in the phone dated January 1st, 1980, that I couldn't open. That same day, I noticed my partner couldn't reply to messages. He was sending them, but I wasn't receiving them. I started thinking, like he did, that multiple devices in our house were infected with a virus or hacked. Around May 7th or 8th, the phone situation got drastically worse. I realized my text messages were being intercepted by someone. All real conversations were replaced with strings of random letters and numbers. When I clicked on these altered messages, they showed the same random image over and over again. Even scarier was that several new messages appeared among them that I hadn't written or received before, with frightening phrases like, "He's back and I'm watching you." My partner pretended nothing was happening and left me in a state of terror and loneliness. We argued again about all this, especially about his complete indifference to my condition. But he stubbornly insisted he knew nothing and I needed to stop making things up. By that point, I was on the verge of a breakdown. My partner swore he hadn't done anything wrong and claimed his Google account data was incorrect. And the more we argued, the more strange things happened with my phone. Facebook was authorized on 12 devices. The username in Snapchat changed to my daughter's name. It seemed that whenever I Googled something I saw on his tablet, I immediately came across traces of multiple apps, browsers, and Webpack packages he uses to carefully hide everything. I looked more and more crazy. On the evening of May 7th, I was so frustrated that I decided to do a factory reset, but when I tried to launch it, nothing worked. Instead, a message appeared saying, "Contact Verizon." The next day, May 8th, I called. The representative tried to help me perform a reset remotely, but even he didn't understand why nothing was working. We had to involve Samsung specialists, and after checking, they stated that my phone was damaged at the base level. They agreed to send me a replacement. I sent them my damaged phone, and the very next day, May 9th, received a new one. I expressed my concern to my partner about logging into my accounts again from the new phone and said that if he was really honest with me, he should be worried about the security of his accounts too. He assured me that he would use his laptop to log into my Verizon Cloud to restore my photos and other information. He said I wouldn't have to do anything on the new phone at all, which particularly alarmed me. He showed strangely obsessive interest in having access to my Verizon Cloud. He mentioned it again and again, which seemed suspicious to me. Even after everything that happened, he continued to assure me that nothing bad would happen with my new phone anymore. I kept repeating that I was still worried, but he was 99.9% sure everything would be fine. When I called Verizon to activate the new phone, he was nearby. Part of the conversation with the representative he conducted, part I did. Although I felt this was a bad idea, we decided to keep my old phone number. To my horror, as soon as the new phone turned on, it all started again. The same strange messages, the same sets of random characters, and the same repeating image. At that moment, I immediately told Verizon I wanted a new number. I explained what happened, and they agreed. Then I realized that my Samsung account was probably hacked too, so I created a new one. I now had a new phone, new number, new accounts, new passwords for everything. I even got a special notebook for passwords so I wouldn't get confused. I think on May 13th, I told my partner that I had created new Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram accounts. On Saturday, May 17th, while my partner was out of town, I used his laptop to log into my Verizon Cloud, restore past photos, and download them to my new phone. My partner didn't like this at all, especially that I did it without him, and that now all my data from the cloud was on my phone and not on his laptop where he would have full access. That same day, May 17th, he left his tablet at home, and I looked at his Google activity again. Despite his assurance that he only used WhatsApp for work and only during certain hours, there were again traces of use late at night and early morning, during hours when he swore he didn't open it. When I was taking the last screenshots of his activity, I also checked the Google Play download history on both his phone and tablet. They suddenly turned out to be linked, although before they were always separate. I found several apps there whose existence he categorically denied. For example, the Google Play history clearly indicated that the SmartThings app was installed and actively used on his devices. On Monday morning, May 19th, I specifically texted him and asked if he used SmartThings. He replied that no. However, his Google activity clearly showed otherwise. Later that same morning at 10:19, I texted him that I was going to lie down for a bit and might miss his call during lunch. Just 11 minutes later, at 10:30, his Google activity showed he used the SmartThings app. It also showed that he used our Netgear Nighthawk Wi-Fi router app, the Bose speaker app, Microsoft OneDrive, Seek by iNaturalist, Google Lens, and his phone was previously paired with our Samsung TV. Even more alarming, in his app list I saw several programs typically used for tracking and monitoring: Family Link, Life 360, Secure 360, Google Hub, Find My Device, and the group sharing app. Note that all these programs appeared only after we updated our devices. He never had anything like this before. When I asked him about this, he again responded in his style, saying someone is getting into his accounts and he has nothing to do with it and doesn't use these apps. And here today, at the very beginning of this whole story, when I first found contacts with women's names and the WhatsApp note on his phone, I wrote down about a dozen names and numbers. Recently, I came across that list again and decided to check 4 or 5 of them through a number search on Google. To my surprise, they all led to the same site, blogger.com. This seriously alarmed me. I wondered, are these real numbers or some way he's masking correspondence? Or did he deliberately add these contacts so I would find them, fight with him, and feel crazy again? And then on Friday, May 23rd, I received emails from Samsung and Google with notifications about login attempts to my new accounts. My partner was in the same room with me at that moment and at first glance wasn't doing anything, not touching any devices. Around the same time, when I was trying to recover my old Facebook account, the system offered to log in from devices where I was already authorized. Among them was my partner's laptop, although I never used his computer to log into my Facebook. And just 2 days ago, when I used his laptop again to try to fix something on Facebook, I just typed Yahoo Mail in the search, and it turned out I was already logged into my new Yahoo account. I never opened this account on his laptop. In addition, last week my new WhatsApp account, which I had just created, was suddenly blocked. When I contacted support, they restored it, but said they temporarily logged me out of linked devices due to data synchronization issues. They explained that if the system can't verify that data is correctly syncing between devices, it automatically logs out for security purposes. But the strangest thing is, I only have one device, and that's my new phone. The question arises, what other devices is my data syncing with? The only thing I used that new WhatsApp for was to receive a verification code from Facebook to log into my new account. And now, my new Facebook already shows a login from an unknown device. My partner also said twice recently that he received emails about suspicious login attempts to his Microsoft account, which, by the way, is new. He never even mentioned it before, just like the new Authenticator app he didn't have before. When I told him about my suspicions and concerns, he acknowledged that everything happening to me looks very advanced. According to him, a 10 out of 10 in complexity, but at the same time, he claimed his own technical skills are at most a 3. Everyone who knows us says this is a lie. He understands technology perfectly. He's the chief electrical technician at a company that manufactures mobile homes. He asked what he could do to prove it wasn't him, or to make me feel calmer. I suggested that since he claims he only uses his tablet to listen to videos on the way to and from work, he should just leave it at home when he's not working. He categorically refused. It's become a pattern that every time something strange happens and I bring it up, he gets angrier and can't understand why I can't just let the situation go. When I asked why he's not worried that someone is doing all this to me, to us, he replied, everyone is being watched, and that it doesn't bother him, but my anxiety, my condition doesn't touch him at all. I'll note that back at the very beginning, when I had my first phone, all his bank cards and credit cards were saved in it, and none of them were touched. No one stole my identity. So that's not the issue. Also important, the hidden correspondence with other women and forwarded photos are not the essence of the problem here. He knows perfectly well that I don't mind if he's with other women if he wants to. My real problem is the lying and hiding everything. If I know and he knows that I don't mind infidelity, then what terrible thing is he hiding that for this? He's ready to literally torture me psychologically, building an entire system of deception. Could it be that his contacts, app activity, as well as my phone problems are part of something bigger that I just don't understand yet? My father is in prison. He's a powerful person capable of any form of surveillance and manipulation which my partner knows about. I even said that maybe he's behind all this, or is everything much simpler? The person I've been sleeping in the same bed with for the last 15 years is actually just psychologically torturing me to hide something much more terrible than infidelity or spending money on sites like OnlyFans. By the way, he has that app installed too. And finally, how do I prove everything that happened and continues to happen so I can immediately take him to court for everything he's done and is doing to me now? I can't keep going back and forth between thoughts. No, he couldn't. And, God, he's really doing this. I have many screenshots from his devices and from my damaged phone, and this is only part of the story. Please help me. Make all of this finally stop. And that's where this story comes to an end. Hit the like button if you found it interesting, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode.